Our next question was sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Samuel Hoffman. I recently came across some footage of WCW's then announcer Eric Bischoff spoiling the finishes of each match on Raw when the two companies were beginning their Monday Night War. Were you working in the WWF office at the time? Was this the first time a promotion had employed this tactic against a rival? Any discussion or insight on the topic is appreciated.
Well, yes and yes. And it was the first time that could ever have been done, because there had never been two equal national television promotions ever in the United States that referred to each other. In the 50s, when they had network TV from Chicago and Los Angeles and they had syndicate, they didn't refer to the other promotions. Even in the war between Vince and Crockett in the 80s, except in sly little ways we never referred directly that there was competition. So not only that, but there was at the time, there was still some restraint in wrestling to where you wouldn't do that, because that was considered somewhat on par with exposing the business. And only really, like low budget outlaw groups like the Pafos, ICW would do shit like that. On a local level, going back to the dawn of time, outlaw promotions had fucking tried to poison the well for the established promotion, either with the newspaper or radio stations or TV. If they couldn't draw and if they were getting run out, they'd just try to burn the whole thing up. That's happened. But on that level, and also there was never another time where one company had a live show and the other company had a taped show. And so the company that had the live show would be able to give those results. That's why I've always said the Attitude Era and specifically the Monday Night Wars from 96 through 99 did irreparable damage to the business that we would never be able to recover from. And, as much as we talk about how that most of this shit sucks today, and it does, even if it was as good as it was 25 years ago, it probably wouldn't fucking draw that well because of all the shit that was done during the Monday Night Wars that devalued everything we did to draw money. So anyway, point is, yes, that was entirely new and it was not well received. And it just led to then Vince doing more shit to get back at them and just all this it was like a local, outlaw versus established territory war going on with all of the worst instincts of the fucking outlaws to do shit that was going to be bad for the business, but they were the two biggest companies in the business and they were doing it on national TV both at the same time, which is why we really never recovered. They hot-shotted great for the Gates, and then neither one knew how to take care of it, and as a result, wrestling has never gotten that big again, and it won't at this point now, ever, because of the Monday Night Wars. Too much hot-shotting, too much gaga, too much real-life exposing the business bullshit, and it's impossible to ever, until the people that were alive then die. And then we'll still have the internet. So, that was pretty much the beginning of the end. And that was just one of the minor things that they did to destroy the business that had flourished for 100 years.
What was the reaction when Bischoff started doing that? And you go to the office the next day. And also, you guys knew Hall and Nash were going to appear there. But when Medusa shows up and throws the belt in the garbage, what was the reaction the next day to that?
Well, as you would imagine, everybody was ticked off. Kevin Dunn was hot. And with Medusa, that was just sloppiness. They just didn't give a shit about the women's title or the women's division, but they should have got their shit back. I don't blame Medusa because she's like, hey, they're going to give me a big job and all this other stuff. But with Hall and Nash, I think that Vince assumed that since they couldn't be Razor and Diesel because those were his characters, that they would turn them into something else or somebody else. I don't think that he realized that they would try to use them and just not say those names, but they would try to use them as themselves and make it as realistic of a WWF invasion of WCW as was ever going to be possible. That's where I think he freaked out. Is like, this is that was his whole bone of contention. He didn't mind if Nash and Hall went. Who were they going to be? Because they couldn't be Razor and Diesel. Well, they didn't have to call them Razor and Diesel. Everybody thought they were Razor and Diesel, so they show up, and there you go, and that kicked it off. And once it got that hot, then you knew Hogan wanted to get into it, and then there you go. So I think that's what Vince was most hot about, is he didn't realize that they could fucking still make it look like his guys had showed up.
With the giving away of results, what was Vince's, I mean, forget about everyone else, what was Vince's reaction to that? And eventually when Raw started producing shows that people really wanted to see, that's when it backfired. I mean, they said that Mick Foley was going to win the title, and everyone switched the channel to go see Mick Foley win the title.
I think the giving away of results was just so childish and so stupid. And besides that, Bischoff never understood wrestling fans. I'd rather see a match I haven't seen involving the guys that I like if I know who wins, instead of something that I haven't seen and don't know who wins if I don't want to watch those guys to begin with. Bischoff never understood wrestling fans because he wasn't one. And when that's the final straw, when he told him, hey, yeah, Mick Foley's going to win the title on the other fucking channel. Really? Shit, let me get there as quick as possible. So the giving away of finishes was just so childish. It just burns you up that it's like most normal people look at Trump being president, that this smarmy asshole, this fence post turtle, has gotten this position, doesn't belong there, and you can't get rid of him, and it's fucking, aggravating you. It was more of that kind of heat with just giving the finishes away or giving the results away.